You're good. But what I will say is I would love for you to now introduce us to the question that you want to ask us. I know it's going to be like the longest episode. Granted, it's three of us, so I'm prepared for that.
Three Musketeers.
This will also be edited as well a little bit,
Yes.
so going to give y'all some highlights. But yes, Brandi, what do you want to bring to the table? To the pod.
Ooh, dang, like what have we not mentioned? I feel like my questions have been answered.
Your questions have been answered?
Through just
I do think I will put our questions up for the audience to answer.
Because I'd love to hear.
Because everybody had such great questions.
Oh, I think I did ask a question about if you guys practice ancestor veneration and how that's.
Oh yeah, you did.
How, like, what the effects of that have felt like in your life.
Can you give us a description of how you see that term?
Ancestor veneration? Just for me, it's just about literally like honoring my ancestors. For me, it involves an altar. I don't have many pictures right now, but the ones I do have, I have on there. I also wrote out a list of names when I first started getting into ancestor veneration. I called my mom and was like, "Give me as many names as you got, homie."
Yeah.
Just because I really wanted to say their names. Like, I know they haven't heard them in a while. They have not been honored in a while. They haven't been spoken to. They hungry, like, you know, so I wanted to start with just having their names and saying, like, thank you for everything. I'm here. I love you.
Yeah.
Want to know ya. I'm also making it absolutely clear that I'm speaking to my honorable ancestors, because not all of them. We don't just die and heal.
Everybody.
We don't just die and heal all of our wounds immediately.
Talking to everybody.
That's not.
It's a process. It's a process.
So I am very specific about which ancestors I would like to speak to, and if I don't know their names, I will say my honorable ancestors. But I call on my protective ones, because we had many ancestors in wars. Okay, we had a good many that know how to swing a sword, shoot a gun. So when I'm feeling a little like I call on them. So
Harriet.
Right. If you could just just make sure I'm good while I'm walking down this block, please, thank you.
Hey, yeah.
And it just started with like a candle. I put all the elements on a white candle. Put all the elements on there. Some spring water. Some crystals or something that represent earth. Or I've used a lot of things. You can really do the thing, but as long as you got some water and a white candle, like that's like the basic starter package right there, and a great intention. And they want to hear from us, so that's what I think ancestor veneration is. It's just honoring them and helping. Basically, you're healing yourself to help to heal them as well. So you're healing the lineage when you're doing all this.
That's beautiful.
It's a wonderful exchange, and like they'll give you like little insights. You can really ask them, like I'm telling you, like it's really changed my life, because I was like, I'm insane, I'm crazy, and they'd be like, you're not.
Yeah.
I did that too, or like you got that from me, and so it's it's really comforting as well. So that's what ancestor veneration is to me.
I love that. I think I really have something to say about my recent experience, because ever since Dante introduced me to a little bit about what some of the Akan practices are, I then started to like just learn what type of things that he does. He has an altar, and after he kind of showed me just let me be a witness to some things, and then we did some things together, which I was like, this is really like change. Also raised really strong Christian, so some things I'm just like have to get comfortable with, like saying yes and just like trying things, just like seeing. And so after that, I started to pour libations, and I started to. So I have in my room like this blue wooden bowl and a glass, like a tall glass cup that has like texture on the inside. And then I started to pour libations because of Dante, and I really started to call on people that I knew in my family who had passed away, who I really had a connection to. Like my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, she was like, she has such a distinct personality that I really enjoyed being around her, even though sometimes she was really intense. Like her energy was very opposing of mine sometimes, because I've been described growing up and to this day as really laid back, really like chill, even though I can get hype, but I've just been like, somebody injected me with some chill serum like my whole life. I have this like have this home video of me climbing up the stairs as a baby. My mom was like, Josca, you excited about the new house? I'm like, yeah. Like, I've just been so yeah. Cool.
You want to get out of this, so
maybe. Yeah. But I've always been like, it was either given like mature for my age, laid back, like all that type of stuff. My grandmother was very, very like smart. I'm pretty sure she graduated high school at 16, something like that, and then went to college. And also she ended up paying for one of her brothers to go to college, I believe. I'm going to have to ask my dad to fact check me on that. But back then it was like $300 and something a semester for the tuition. And so she like saved up money to pay for it. I'm just like, she was out here like, but she had a very distinct personality, and I'm so glad that I got to experience her in my lifetime before she passed when I was in the 12th grade. Yeah, she passed when I was at the beginning of my senior year of high school. So I remember I was going to dance class, and I was just like sitting in front of the office, that my dance teacher's office. And I looked really sad. And one of my tough modern teachers came out there and said, "What's wrong with you?" She was like, "What's wrong?"
They ain't got no sympathy.
They have no sympathy.
None. What's wrong with you?
She said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "My grandmother I'm losing her. She's not." I like couldn't hold it together. I was crying. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do when she's not here. Like, I'm just like, I was so shocked. She didn't feel like somebody who was ever going to go. At least not that early. I felt so young. So I was like, I don't know. She was dealing with cancer at the time, like before she passed. And I was like, I don't know like what's going to happen. And like, I was scared actually when I was at Harvard, because she was really sick that summer. She passed at the beginning of the school year, right after I did Harvard. So I was like a little bit like out of it sometimes, thinking that I was gonna not be there when she passed. So in September, like at the beginning of the school year, that's when she passed. But woof, when I pour libations, to get back to the point, when I pour libations, I like talk to her a lot. Like I have conversations, and I just kind of connect to actually something that I saw on TikTok. This person that is I think she's a medium. I don't think she calls herself a medium, but just the way she was explaining, just like, basically like what you just explained, like they want to hear their name, they want that like community as well. And of course, we all still love each other, so it's like, why not talk to our family members? And so yeah, I do that, and I just talk about where I need guidance. I talk about where I'm proud of myself. I talk about where I can give myself grace, and a lot of times I ask for protection. And I'm just like, sometimes I get too hard on myself. And I need protection externally, and I need protection just like not letting me get too far down in a hole. I need protection for myself sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, that's something that I do. I do talk to my honorable ancestors.
Yeah, and it's like, it really is that simple. That's all they really want, and it doesn't even have to be at an altar space. Like, we have crossroads. That is a very spiritual portal. You've got the water, you've got trees, nature. Like, use nature. A lot of our ancestors speak to us that way as well, or even more clearly that way. I know me in particular, if I'm buying some trays, I'm gonna get overloaded with a whole lot of advice. Like, there's just gonna be a whole lot of celebration and like, hey girl, like,
that's me in the ocean. That's me whenever I swim in the ocean.
Yeah, like find whichever portal feels. Where do you feel the most peace? Where do you feel the most charge? And start there. Like, really trust and lean into that. Things will be so much clearer for you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Adia, what you got to say about it?
Girl, look, I feel the same way about y'all. Like, I will literally talk to my ancestors anywhere. And I've honestly, the only person that I've experienced in my life who's passed on is my great-grandmother. And she passed when I wasn't there as well. Like, I wasn't in the city. I was out of the country. So it was very hard to not be close to her, to be able to, like, tell her that I loved her and I wanted to be there and let her know it was okay to move on. Although I had spoken to her not too long before, and she had snatched me up. And you know how, like, old people... They got that strong, like, pretty much like a death grip. You know, you'd be like, why you got so much strength for 101 pounds? But okay. Yeah. And she snatched me and she said, I'm not afraid to die. Ooh. And I said, okay. Do you think you're going to die soon? She said, I don't know. But it's coming. And I was like, okay. But I want to be there for you. And so I feel like that's something that I've really adopted. But even before she passed, though, like, definitely pouring libations for people. Or I used to practice SGI Buddhism for like a hot second. And part of the chanting afterwards.
Wait, what's SGI?
SGI is Soka Gakkai International. It's like a sect of Buddhism that follows the president Aikeda, who's leading right now, but it was founded by Nichiren Daishonin, who took the teachings of Siddhartha and created this scroll. I might be mixing up some of the details, but in the overall gist of things, that's kind of what it is. But you chant, you are chanting to a scroll, and after you finish chanting, you'll ring a bell. And you ring a bell for all the people who have passed before. And so that's something that I used to do a lot. And I still do to this day at my own altar. I make it a point to... I don't chant anymore, although sometimes I chant when I'm with other people who still practice Buddhism. But I don't chant myself alone, but I will ring the bell because I want to bring that music. It's kind of almost like, I'm trying to think of like Soul. I don't know if you guys remember that movie Soul, the Pixar movie, and where all the forgotten memories go and how over time they lose their spark. And they get more dull and more dull, or like in Coco, and like how those skeletons were slowly starting to lose it because they were not being remembered. I think of that bell as like a remembrance of these spirits who have passed on. So that's something that I find is really important to my practice, is bringing them to light and making sure that they are still being remembered, and talking to my honorable people.
My smart audience.
My smart audience. For the smart audience only.
No, we pray and lift up those who still need healing.
Who need help.
I really hope that you get it together.
For real.
For the next lifetime. I really,
For real.
And if I can help you do that safely, like, I got you. But,
safely.
But I'm not talking to you for advice.
Safely.
I'm not asking for advice.
I don't want to be dealing with this any other way. Right.
I'm not, you're maybe not going to ask you about how to go about these things.
Because some of y'all are violent.
You were kind of battling alcoholism.
You were kind of an alcoholic. Dealing with demons.
You got things to do. Like, it's okay. I don't.
That.
You got things to do. Like, and so do I. And like,
we can stay in our lanes respectively.
And I love you.
Respectively and respectfully.
I'll never forget when Dick Gregory, I was watching an interview with Dick Gregory, and he was like, you don't talk to everybody on the street. So you'll be talking to everybody who came before you. Don't talk to all your ancestors. You think you're going, if it was born a knucklehead, and they die in a knucklehead, you think they're gonna not be a knucklehead in the afterlife? That is so freaking relatable. That is so relatable. It's so
taking
true,
notes.
though.
Make sure you leave the knuckleheads.
Don't be talking to knuckleheads, man. Some folks is nuts out here. Like, leave them alone.
Some folks is nuts. Some folks and nothing else.
It's just
no, that is too real. Okay. Adia, do you have a question?
I do. I had a couple of questions, but I narrowed it down.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was like, I already knew beforehand. I said, it's probably going to run 2 hours as we just talk.
I know, we really
So, let me just break the unfortunate news that we're going to have to not ask all three.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would have had 6, so.
Honestly, it's not for the best, though.
Yeah, it's for the best.
Okay, this is my question.
Hey.
All right, so I said, recently in social media, there's been this like new wave of people showing their journey to healing generational trauma, and it looks like this not beautiful, but it looks like this kind of almost like walk in the park where it's like, here are the steps that I did to achieve my generation, to free myself and liberate myself of generational trauma. I'm here, I'm happy, my children are happy, everybody's happy, the dog is good, I got a house, I'm living in the woods, and that's it. And it's kind of just like, this instant thing that just, it looks instant when it's not actually. And so my question is, the body functions on a different timeline than what we've created in this Western world, or in world in general. Time is just a construct, and our body does not follow time. So my question is, how do you approach generational trauma in a way that is still cognizant of the fact that you are functioning on a different timeline, or lack thereof, for better use of words, in a world that really emphasizes and is constantly continuing this idea that time is of the essence, and you don't have time to sit with your feelings to properly heal, but you need to be at X point in your life in order to be healed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. That's
very
loaded.
complex.
That's loaded.
I've been thinking a lot.
Brandi, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll take a stab at it. So I can only really speak on, my experience with generational trauma, and one of the main ways that I identified specifically what my generational trauma looked like was by talking to my family and by spending time with them. And it becomes so clear, so clear what y'all are all battling. Like, for example, for me, I have cousins that are twins and they're Geminis, and one is a boy, one's a girl, and they're, like I said, they're only a year older than me. And so I see, like, it's crazy because we might as well have been like triplets. Like, the way that our lives look very, very similar. Like, we have the same struggles. We have the exact same struggles with specifically security. And I've seen that a lot on my paternal side, is like, we all just want a home. And like, my dad was a foster kid. He got adopted into a Jamaican household. His siblings got split up. Like, the trauma is that we don't have stability. We don't have like a family place to go, a home. Like, it feels like we are experiencing housing insecurity a lot. That's one of the things that I've identified. And so now that I have identified that, I'm like, oh, this is a worth thing for us. We don't feel worthy. There's a worthiness in here. There's a worthiness issue here. Wow. That's what I'm seeing in my family is, oh, we don't feel worthy. And then you can see it everywhere in your family. Like, just from the things that they say. Like, my father loved him to death, but he will just sleep on the floor because I'm from the hood. Like, I sleep on the floor, it don't matter. Like, I'm good. And I'm like, you are. That's great. but you're also in your 50s, and I'm not letting you sleep on the floor because you don't deserve that. You deserve more than a floor, And so that being, and I think a lot of families experience that in a degree, that's how we get scarcity mindset, is like, you have to know that you're worth it no matter what your circumstances look like. Like, you've got to find that worthiness, and that can be very, very hard to do as a foster kid or as a kid in the hood. That can be very, very hard, if not damn near impossible to find. But you can find it because God is in you.
Hey.
The Spirit is a working. It's in there. It's really in there. So yeah, that's how I view generational trauma, and how we can even begin to deal with it. Is you have to look at your family and really you got to keep asking why until there's no more why questions. And that's something I learned through acting.
Yeah.
You keep asking why until there are no
That's a big one
why
for me.
questions.
That's a big one for me.
And then what do? It's the same thing with acting. Now that you got your reason for why your character is here, now you get what they're after. Now, how do they do that? How do they fight for that? How does that look for them? What are the actions that they do? What are the tactics that they use? You really have to break it down so that you can start figuring out, how do I shift it? That's the part that takes a long time, because now you're in this unlearning, but you're habitually still doing the same things, but you're catching yourself, and it's hard. It's very, very difficult, but I am happy to say that me and my cousins seem to be doing very well for the lineage. Okay, we're getting it together, and I really am seeing that the more that you heal, the more the family heals, especially if that's your intention. And when I first started in this journey, that was it. I was like, my family is we gotta heal. Help me do that. I don't know how to. Hi, ancestors. I know y'all see what's going on down here. Right. I know y'all also was having a rough time when you were down here. How can I help us heal that? How can I do that? And a lot of that is them telling me to rest, and me reminding my family to rest. And so that's how you get into generational trauma. Heal yourself. Heal yourself. Get to the root. Big time. Heal yourself, and then they'll see it. Whether they agree with it, like it, whatever, get triggered by it, because that's the thing. They get triggered by it. Once you start healing the generational trauma, then they're like, oh, you think you too big and bad? You think you can't? No,
that's wild, because you know what I have evaluated and determined to be a big part of generational trauma in my family. It's everybody's obsession, when a generation comes, or say my parents are speaking to me, they had this point growing up where they were like, each generation has to do better than the last. And that was a big thing. And I started to see that was going so deep that it was an obsession. Not that some people would describe it as that, or some people will be conscious of that in certain actions, in certain ways, choices that my parents would make, that my grandparents made. But I'm just y'all don't even know that you're going so far deep into, I have to be better, that you're perpetuating a lot of the same toxic things that we actually said we don't need to be doing anymore. And it's a confusion looks to be happening, and my thing is okay, then the excuses come. The thing is well, we didn't have a rule book growing up and all that stuff, and I'm just what I have found in terms of the solution for that is just listening.
Yep.
And truly, truly, deeply listening to each other. I don't think I live in a household where people are really heard.
Yeah.
And that's where we're kind of still at right now. There have been improvements here and there. And then sometimes you're beating your head against the wall, because just that's what's holding us back. And I feel some of us need to really drop our pride way further down than we think we need to. some people don't even think that that's a problem that they have, but hey, got to get over that if you want anything to change. And that's how I feel. And that's the message that I like implore when I'm at home a lot of the times, that I bring up constantly. I'm like, we're not listening to each other. Like, and I encourage my little brother to speak up, for example. And like, I'm like, you're telling me certain things that I think mom and dad really need to hear. That I think that, and I know that you're not telling them because you're under the assumption, and a pretty valid assumption, that they won't listen to you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know that I'll listen to you, and I always will say that whatever you're feeling is true and is valid, and it's coming up and it's how you feel. So I just wanted to like us to take a step. Like, we actually have to listen. And you know, we're talking about spirituality, like, that really is a roadblock, to be honest. Like, sometimes the listening cuts off because of a religious belief. Like, oh, yes, it's like, you know, a really big place that I feel like I butt heads with my parents sometimes is about like getting active on certain things that need to be done. Like, why haven't we done this yet? Like, the procrastination feels, not just procrastinating, but the lack of prioritizing feels absolutely unacceptable to me. And I've used that specific language to say, this is absolutely unacceptable. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I might get back in return as a response, you know, you all want to do things on your timing all the time. It's about God's timing. And that kind of thing is what I mean. Like, you can only go so far with that, I feel like, until it's just like, we've been in this spot for 3 years, and
it's cyclical. We're not getting anywhere.
We're not getting anywhere. It's literally cyclical. Like, we have identified some patterns, and we literally talk about specific patterns that we've identified in our interactions in the home. Like, oh, we're here. Now it's just going to cycle, but like, we're not going to talk to each other for probably 2 weeks. And then like, we've literally identified this cycle, and I was like, that's messed up.
We're not addressing it.
We're not addressing it.
Yeah.
And that's why I have the conversations with them sometimes, because I'm just like, hey, I wasn't allowed to not listen to y'all for 18 years. So it's just like, give me some respect. I don't know. I'm just like, actually listen to us. Even if you think we don't have enough experience or something to back us. I'm like, and I have this conversation about children, because I don't think a lot of adults listen to children like they should be listened to. Like, give children the credit that they deserve for.
Discredit everything they say because like, you haven't been here long enough.
Right. Yeah, and it's I was just like, where did we get that from? Like,
crazy.
To me, that's not what it is. Yeah, I'm like, that's not what it's about.
ATR, like, reincarnation is a very, very real thing in so many different practices.
And you know what else? It's like the things that created that doubt in me with Christianity growing up, when I started to question things, is things were so opposing. Like, you would say this scripture and practice something else that was just like, oh, you're not listening. You're contradictory all over the place. You're not actually letting your children get frustrated like about things. It's just like,
how them fruits of the spirit? How they doing? And
right? How do they do it?
And gentleness, one of them.
Like, you have to let kids express their frustration if they're frustrated. If they're frustrated at you, don't
That's not disrespectful.
That's not disrespectful. I said that's something in the generational trauma cycle that is also a big thing. Like, it's not disrespectful to express emotion. Let them get it out and then say, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And I'm just like, I can't wait to keep employing that for years to come, because I love working with children. I'm just like, I love listening to children. You can learn so much from children, but the contradictory thing was really not letting us have a voice at a lot of times, or feeling shut down. And I feel like that's where my anxiety developed into mixed anxiety and depressive mood, because I was really like choking on the words that I really already had to say and wasn't allowed to say. So that's just like a big thing. And the contradiction to that that they might bring up scripturally. It's like, and a child shall lead them. I was like, girl, you don't even listen to a word I say.
Right.
How I'ma lead y'all?
I'm gonna say, come on, we're making a left. Y'all gonna be like,
no, it's right.
so we're gonna have pizza for dinner, like,
Right.
Yeah. So that was my thing. That was my thing, and I'm glad that I have friendships like ours that just help me, like, get me inspired to keep going, because nothing will change if we ever stop. We can't take a break besides resting. Rest, we have a right to rest. Yeah. But in terms of if it's not rectified, we can't stop. We just have to keep engaging. We just have to keep engaging in conversation. We just have to keep encouraging people who are younger than us, people who are older than us. So yeah, I think that might have answered your question.
No, it does. Yeah.
What do you mean you've been listening this whole time and you haven't subscribed yet? I don't see what the holdup is. The button is right there. And while you're at it, follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You obviously like the show.
But yeah, this is big stuff. Spirituality.
Yeah.
Big
it takes
stuff.
time.
It takes a lot of time.
It does take time.
Because you can read all the books, but embodying the knowledge takes time.
Yeah.
It's real practice, and it's like it's like mastering an instrument. You cannot expect that you get, you learn how to play the cello, you buy a cello, and you're just like, okay, I'm going to put in the hours every day for a week, and I'm going to be a master. I'm going to be Yo-Yo Ma by the end of the week. That's dumb.
That's not
Yo-Yo
how
Ma
it
has been playing since he was 3. The man is still learning to this day, and he's in his 60s or something. Like, it's mastery. It's time and practice and patience and trial and error before you get to that point where it's like, okay, I'm starting to find a groove.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's ever even to the point where you are fully. Maybe you're never fully healed. I mean, maybe you can be fully healed, but there's a lot that goes into it before you can fully be like, I am relieved of that shit.
Yeah.
And if it's generational, it takes a lot of work. Yeah.
And they say trauma is passed down through the maternal,
yes, because you are in your mother's you are in your grandmother's womb when your grandmother was carrying your mother.
Right.
And to think about, I know I'm thinking of one particular story of my ancestors. Not all of our ancestors were in happy-go-lucky relationships. So not all of these women who got us here today were procreating with men that they were in love with. Mm-hmm. Many of them were doing this out of obligation. And I know for one of my ancestors specifically, she got caught up.
Yeah.
She got stuck. For real.
Right.
And ended up having to do this, having to have the kids. And so that's the story for a lot of us. And even before, I'm reading Medical Apartheid right now, and it's just opening up a whole new door of the sacrifices that our ancestors made and the atrocities that some of them survived.
Wow. Yeah.
And it hurts. It hurts so much to know that Western medicine, especially in America, so much of it was experimenting on us to figure out the cures for things that they said it didn't even make sense, because they were saying we had a higher tolerance for pain, but why are you testing me on this thing for white women if I supposedly have a higher tolerance? It's not gonna work the same. Obviously, none of it made sense. It was very racist, very hurtful, and that's a whole nother situation. Many of us can be carrying that. We can have ancestors who were experimented on.
Yeah.
And so that's traumatic. That comes through you. Even in some areas of the body. I went to college with this one guy, and a medium told him that in a past life he was experimented on. And I know he was raised Jewish. And so I'm like, oh my God. And he was like, that makes a lot of sense, because he was extremely anxious and he was dealing with a lot of mental battles. And for her to tell him that, he was like, that makes so much sense. I feel that. He's like, I could feel that in my body sometimes. Like, he could feel, and I think they said like a similar time that they figured out it was electric shock or something. I was like,
oh, wow.
my God. So it's like, and now I'm reading Medical Apartheid and they talk about all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, that kind of generational trauma? Are you kidding?
It's intense.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? We have so many things to heal.
Yeah.
And it's so hard.
It's so hard. It's giving me the chills.
And it's harder when we're mean to each other. It's harder when you walk out into a room and all you want to do is fight for the liberation of your people, and your people just want to roast your hair.
Oh my God.
Like, guys.
So hurtful.
Things are a little bit more important than my hairstyle.
Right, a lot.
I'm going to need us to figure out this liberation thing. Can we please focus? Can we focus?
All skin folk ain't.
They're not. And
Not
that's
at all.
hurtful. But spirit, you can feel your spirit from your spiritual village. They come in all colors, shapes, sizes, whatever. I have had spiritual connections and feelings like angels look like whatever angels look like, but it's not skin deep. This whole fighting white supremacy is not a black and white thing. Like, we need everybody who's against that.
I think we all can fight.
We can all
Maybe that
this probably was not
This is
not
it.
plan, actually. Not looking good. The terms and conditions haven't been updated, and I don't know how long. Like,
Not at all. Yeah,
it's not good.
Y'all, I hate to cut us short because this is it's
I know.
going to turn into a sleepover. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make this into 2 parts because I can't bear to edit it. I just can't bear. Not that it's going to take. Not that I'm intimidated by the amount of work that would take, but I think I want everybody to hear all of this.
Yeah,
you know,
they're great parts.
I can't bring myself to cut and keep any of this from anybody. Like, I have thoroughly enjoyed and just felt so replenished by this conversation. And so I want to start to move us to the end on a nice, fun, cute note and play a last little game. I asked you all to bring in a TV show, and we're going to do you all are going to do your astrological big 3 using TV show characters, which we can do now because the strike is over and I can do that with you guys.
Yay! I'm so excited. Are you going first?
Adia's going to go first.
Oh, okay. So my TV show is Girlfriends.
Oh, that's beautiful.
My girlfriend. Okay,
And we saw Darnell from Girlfriends.
That's why I was laughing when y'all was like, yeah, we saw Darnell. I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, just like Darnell. We saw Khalil Kane today. Me and Brandi earlier went to a solidarity brunch for the WGA strike and SAG empowerment. SAG empowerment of the arts, something like that. But
They together now.
But yeah, there was a panel, and Khalil Kane with his Aging Like Fine Wines was on the panel.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I love
He's
Girlfriends.
beautiful though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though, he is. Kiss.
Yeah, he's cute.
Yeah, he's cute. But yeah, Girlfriends. I put Maya as my moon. Lynn as my sun, although I might also say Maya as my sun.
Yeah.
So Maya, Lynn as my sun, and Tony as my rising.
As your if y'all don't know Girlfriends, you gotta go know it. You gotta go know it.
And keep that in mind. It's too much to try and explain the personalities, but if you know, you know. And so that's me.
And so wait, I get them mixed up sometimes. Is Rising the one where it's like how you present to the world? Wait, which one?
That's how you present, like in person,
in person.
In person when you're communicating.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's how you show up.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's how you show up.
Yeah. Which maybe I'm not fully, but I feel like sometimes I'm like, damn, am I materialistic?
I honestly can relate.
Like, oh my gosh, my dog lives a bougie ass life.
I feel that. Like, no, I aspire to be Like, I think about you sometimes. I'm like, we literally went to Adia's, like, 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah,
and I'm just sitting here,
every
like,
time.
in New
And
York
smoked
City.
her
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
The organic weed that I grew from scratch.
Honey that's from the house.
With a new beautiful puppy and
A Siamese cat.
A Siamese.
Right. Like, I'm thinking, like, what the? Hey, man, you're a Tony writer.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I feel like, I have some bougie tendencies that I don't even realize until I'm like, dang.
You look around.
I love it's inspiring. That's gonna be my story next year. I'm like, I'm bougie in taste. I'm gonna be bougie in everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brandi, what did you choose?
I chose Living Single.
Oh, we have some 90s sitcoms. Did y'all coordinate?
We did, but I like having
wow.
Like, I just had this burning feeling. I was like, Adia's gonna pick girlfriends, so leave that.
I love the 90s sitcom through line.
Yeah, we need
between that and Moesha.
Like, oh my goodness, Moesha's great.
So I'm a Maxine Sun, a Khadijah Moon, and a Sinclair Rising.
Oh, I love Sinclair Rising.
Sinclair Rising is
I like that. I see that.
Yeah.
I love that you picked Living Single because I have rewatched it recently enough to be able to feel really connected to what you're saying and feel like that's so accurate.
I love Erica Anderson so much, and I got to meet her like earlier this year. It was crazy.
And he was like, what?
No, it was a lot. Like, this is the thing about New York. This is such a divine place to be.
It really is.
Like, yo, it happens. Like, it just happens. Not for
like, wait, what?
But I have her number. Anyway, so this Black Panther comes up to me at the Brooklyn Public Library. I'm just sitting there with my afro, waiting on friends. And he comes up to me, and we just start talking. He was like, "What would you like to see the Panthers?"
Afro being the conversation.
That's what he was like.
Wow.
How would you like to see the in arms? Yeah, he came straight to me. Straight to me.
You.
That's the one. She's down for the cause, and I am. So
wasn't wrong.
But he gave me her contact info, and he was like, "Yeah, you should call her up. She's doing some great work in Atlanta. And let her know just how we met, we connected." And I did, and she responded, and she asked me for my reel and my all my marketing stuff, and I just let her know that
that's great.
she is such an inspiration and a beast in the comedic world to me.
She is one of my major inspirations. I was so what is the word? I was so in awe of her performance on Living Single. I think it's in the pilot or in the first couple episodes where she's just doing this weird thing.
Comedy.
I heard comedy is so good. It's so unique.
Her timing,
next level.
it's great, and it's you can look. The scene can be happening, and it can be
She's
an
definitely my
ensemble scene,
moon.
and
She would be my moon.
acting the entire time. You can look at her at the corner; she's doing some weird fucking shit.
Yes,
because she's always present
in it. She is in it.
You gotta be in it.
She commits to it.
all
That's
the way in
acting right there.
Yeah,
She's
You shouldn't look like you're acting when you're acting.
She's literally watching music. She is just amazing.
Yeah, love you here.
I feel that. I love Living Single.
Yeah.
I really, really love it. I'm sitting here technically, I do my TV show in another episode and I'll let my guests do their TV show. But just because I really like Living Single, I'm going to do Living Single too.
Give it to her.
So I think I would be a Kyle Sun, actually.
Yes.
I think I would be a Kyle Sun.
Absolutely.
With his deep voice.
Arguing all the time.
and
good banter. We had good comedic timing.
He worked on a movie that I was working on at the end of last year with now I can say MTV and Paramount Plus. I was in a scene in the beginning of the movie and I was the director's assistant as well. Shout out. But he had a small role in this film. And y'all, he was the most committed actor that I had seen step foot on that set. Mm-hmm. And he was in a short scene. he was basically lying in bed, and a little baby was talking to him, and he had a short stint over there, and he was just so inspiring over there. And what did he say to me? I like said hi. I was like, oh, I could not let him leave without me saying hi. I didn't want to disrupt his process, but I was like, he's awesome, and his voice is so incredible. What he was like, come over here. Oh my God. When I asked for a picture, he was just like, yeah, come over. But it was so sweet, and yeah, his character Kyle on Living Single, just wow, yeah. That's my son. And then I said my moon would be Maxine. My moon would be Maxine because that's just how I feel that I am, like that type of energy, that type of life. I feel that part. And then the rising, I would say, is Khadijah for sure.
Yeah.
That's my rising.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, like,
Yeah.
that's no contest, that's my rising. I watched Queen Latifah and also in awe. In awe because I was just like, yes, no, Erica Anderson dominated the whole thing. But sometimes I was watching Queen Latifah, like, were people really talking about her in this like that? Like how I'm thinking, like watching her, she was hilarious.
She's great.
She was great. She was so witty. She was everything, like everything that I thought of to describe her as. I was like, wow, thinking to myself, like, people have described me using those words. And I was just like, I feel like I don't compare. Watching her sometimes, I'm just like, she's like, and I could tell, you know how they improvise some stuff sometimes? Like, I could tell she was on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell it was.
Bring it back. Like, my favorite thing was when, like, we'd be watching Fresh Prince or Martin or something, and at the end, they would show, like, bloopers and stuff.
Yeah!
Like, you just know they were having the time of their fucking lives on set. And that is what I want. Like, I want to be on a comedic set, having the time of my life. That movie, Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins, I don't know how they made it. Like, I don't know how they made the movie, because I would have just been laughing the entire time. There's too many comedians in there. Monique alone, like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. So,
Yeah, it's just
I miss it.
a treasure. I'm like, we need to bring sitcoms like that back. We do. Like, everybody is just like, oh, because the sitcom was like theater, you know?
Yes. Live studio audience.
We talk about this in Hillman Grad all the time, like in class. Like, when we touched on sitcoms, even though sitcoms aren't produced that much anymore, we touched on it because if you even get one audition for a sitcom, you need to be prepared. So it doesn't matter if you're not going to get like tens of auditions for a sitcom. All it takes is one, and you have to be prepared for whatever comes.
Yep.
So as we talked about it, I was just like, wow, it's like, I know that must have felt that, like, you feel the fuel of doing something in front of a live audience. And I'm just like, I like that. Like, that's why I love theater. I love audiences, and I don't know. It's just something different about that medium. Like,
it's raw. It's organic. It's real. It's tangible. It's like you're in it.
Yeah.
Because it's for the different mediums. There's you got to do two different things. Like, you got to get to the truth of it. Like, for film, every take has to be honest. Over and over and over again, you have to produce honesty.
Yep.
When you're live, baby, you better have it that day. Like, because you just have to be in it. On that day, you better be there. You better be present.
And there is no
moment.
cut. We need
Ain't no
people
cut.
that take over again.
You better be there, babes. Or you were fake that day. And the critic was here, and he saw, and he gonna call you fake. Because you were on that day.
And that's what I like about sitcom too, because it's a mixture. Like, you're afforded that what you're not afforded in theater, but it's still you're still performing live a lot of the time.
Organic still.
So you get to do another take in that instance, and like the audience in a sense gets to perform with you, because now they're told, you know, y'all might want to laugh after this one line, or you know, like you might want to go ooh when someone kisses. You want to go back? They really made me up there like ooh. Like, okay.
The audience ooh.
I remember I remember it wasn't a sitcom, but I remember when I was a kid one time watching High School Musical, and my mom came into my room and saw me watch High School Musical. She said, "Why do you like to look at white kids kissing?" I was like, "What?" I said that was unhinged. That is unhinged.
We're all in this together. Like, that's what I'm watching.
She was like that. She said, "That sounds weird to me."
Yeah.
I was like, "But Mom, it's more than that."
Mom, it's more than that. No. Yo, we're some dramatic children. Like, I just know, I said, the way I used to conjure up not going to bed, I would run down the stairs, and I just wanted to tell you guys that I love you. Go to bed.
Right. If you don't go to sleep,
Go to bed.
Sick and tired.
damn, girl.
We were a good time, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a good time. I'm sitting here like, this is going to be such a joy to share with everyone. And I'm sitting here as we're filming, looking at the little setup, like, we really, like, we're going to say we did this. We're going to say I'm him. We did.
Josca really did
Josca
this.
did it.
Oh, if anything, I was like, I'm going to get my friends together. And I'm going to let the world hear.
Yeah.
Because we make magic every time we speak. That's my professional, personal opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
We really create, like I leave us, when we hang out, we commune in a space. Every time I leave that, I feel so filled.
Yes.
Like I
feel
you
rejuvenated. There's more energy.
Like, dang, that's why I say coming back to New York sometimes feel like medicine. When I hang out with
Yes,
my
I
people.
heavily agree.
Absolutely.
Feels like medicine.
We just need our own little village.
We do.
We really do. A hippie commune.
Hippie
Time to
commune.
It's a good time because,
I feel like people would definitely
great.
follow up.
It's time to go.
And you have so many good apocalypse skills and like just life knowledge. Like she can skin.
Okay, yeah, we're not gonna talk about what this one
She has so many special skills. Like where did you go for your birthday? She was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go into the woods for like a week and just like chill.
The real Katniss Everdeen.
No, for real.
Should have been Katniss.
Don't have nothing on her. Where'd you go to Antarctica? Somewhere cold. You went somewhere cold.
With the Iceland.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's about to be me. Before we close out, before I give my little thank yous and see you laters, I hate goodbyes. I just wanted you all to be able to tell the listeners what you're up to, where they can find you. Brandi?
Yes,
Yes.
time.
Okay.
Put
So
yourself
I
on the
tried so hard to be clever with my Instagram name, but then I realized that when I try to tell people my Instagram name, it is very, very difficult to describe.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
Because it's pronounced Brandi with an I, but it's spelled like it's underscore BRANDWITHANEYE underscore. Right? It's not just Brandi with an I. Like you gotta spell it out. But that's me on Instagram. My TikTok is something similar to that. I don't know. I know it's at Brandi with an I. There might be some numbers, but I'm the only one who did that. So. Oh, actually, no, I'm not, because that's why I had to put numbers. So if you're the other Brandi with an I, you was clever.
Okay, let's go to Adia real quick. Sorry, because the battery is giving out.
Okay, you guys can follow me literally at my name, Adia's Corner, my little corner of the internet on Instagram. I'm not really doing anything, but taking directing classes and hoping to do something soon. So,
hey, I love it. I love y'all. So thank you for watching 232425. Please follow us on YouTube and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I really, really enjoyed this, and yeah, I say this every time. Next episode, you're not gonna want to miss it. We're talking about friendship. Be there or be square. See you guys. Bye.
I did my square wrong.
You did your square wrong?
I did wrong. That's not square.
Triangle.
232425 is a podcast produced and hosted by Josca. Graphic design by Josca. Executive producer, director of photography, and editor, Dante Charles Critchlow. Music by Footall Moore. A special thanks to Anthony and Celintia Moore, Constance Moore, and Harold Hickson for their contributions to production. And a special thanks to viewers like you who create the community of my wildest dreams. Thank you.
23, 24, 25 TV.